Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about 22 books that I need to read in 2022. So the reason that I wanted to make this video is because I have a very large physical TBR and I often don't pick books from my bookshelves to read. I'm always being distracted by new releases or audiobooks or just other things. And I wanted to make this video so that this can kind of be a reference point, an accountability video, if you will, of 22 books that I really want to focus on this year from my shelves and get them done. Now, I would like to read most of the unread books on my shelves, but I figure if I can at least put down 22 books that I have to read, I can check back at the end of the year and see if I did it. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started. I have a lot of different books here, a lot of different genres. Let's just get into it. Okay, so the first book that I want to prioritize, especially in the first half of the year for 2022, is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I do have 4 copies of this book. Why? I don't know. I just really like collecting books. Reading and collecting books are two very different hobbies. I really hope that I like it because I have so many copies, but the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have very, very high expectations for this book. I think I actually might read this next month. Very quickly though, if you don't know what this book is about, it is kind of the original enemies to lovers romance story. We have Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet, and it is supposed to be extremely beautiful. I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm disgusted with myself, to be honest. So yeah. Okay, so the next classic that I want to get to in 2022 is Emma by Jane Austen. Yes, I do have multiple copies of Emma too. What about it? I really hope I like this. I don't know too much about this plot, not as much as Pride and Prejudice. I believe that this is a more comedic Jane Austen novel, so I'm really looking forward to that. There's also a movie starring Anya Taylor-Joy, I believe, that I haven't seen yet, but I'd like to read this first before I do that, so I think that'll help motivate me to get this one done. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm just gonna go with all of the Jane Austen novels that I really want to prioritize first this year. I do have more up there, but some of them I'm prioritizing a bit more than her full collection. The next one that I definitely want to get to this year is Persuasion. Persuasion, I know essentially nothing about. What I do know is, once again, there's a movie that is actually coming out. It's not out yet, and it's starring Dakota Johnson. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be on Netflix. This is also, I think, maybe her shortest novel, at least in the editions that I have. It looks like the shortest one. So I'm hoping this will be very easy to get through. The last book that I do have multiple copies of that I haven't read yet that I need to read this year is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I don't know too much about this one either. It seems like it's kind of darker or a little sadder than the other books that I talked about prior, but I am looking forward to this one. Let me know if you've read this and what you think of it. And also, out of the few books I just talked about, which one should I read first? I am a little nervous when I get into classics because some of them are just so incredible and beautiful, and then others really bog me down and kind of put me in a reading slump. So if you have a suggestion for the ones that I've mentioned thus far to start with, let me know. Okay, the next book that I want to read in 2022 from my physical TBR that I only have 1 copy of is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. She is thick, okay? She's a big girl, but I really want to read this book. I'm very intrigued by Russian classics and Russian literature in general, so I think that this might be a good way to kind of get into it. This is a very, very famous novel and also has a movie that I really want to see starring Keira Knightley, period piece queen, but I would really like to read the book first, so I'm gonna give this one a shot this year. Wish me luck. Okay, the next book that I need to get to this year is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I can't believe that I haven't read this book. I have had this book for years. It's embarrassing, and it's won a Pulitzer Prize, and I feel like everyone has read this, so I really need to get to it. This is a historical fiction, I believe, set during World War II. That's all I know about it. That's all I want to know about it. I think it is supposed to make you cry though, which I cry very easily, so I will probably cry even more than regular people will, but I love a book that can make me cry, so really looking forward to this and hoping to get to this very soon. Okay, and then another historical fiction from my shelves that I want to read this year is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Such a popular book. Can't believe I haven't read it. I know, I'm terrible. I think I'm really gonna enjoy this one. Kristen Hanna is also actually a fellow Washingtonian. If you don't know, I live in the Seattle area and so does she. So I really wanna read this because of that, but also just because like this is such a famous book. I think it's also becoming a movie and it's supposed to be really gorgeous and also supposed to make you cry. Maybe I should just like do a reading vlog of books that are supposed to make me cry. Like I said, I cry very easily in books, so that might be fun, might be cathartic. I'm excited for this one. Okay, the next book that I absolutely will be reading in 2022 is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney is one of my favorite authors of all time, if not my favorite author. This is her third book. I can't wait to get to this. I have been kind of savoring it just because she only has 3 books out right now, and I've already read Normal People and Conversations with Friends, and just because I love her and her writing and her characters so much, I have been waiting, but I think I'm gonna get to this one really soon. I actually kind of want to read it next month, so really excited for this one. I think it's supposed to be a bit different than Normal People and Conversations with Friends, and I'm just excited to read something else from Miss Sally. Okay, the next book on my physical TBR that I really need to get to this year is The Shining by Stephen King. I always feel like I've already read this book, and that is because I watched The Shining when I was 9 years old on accident, and it scarred me, and so I have such like strong memories of that movie and this story. So I'm always like, oh yeah, I've read The Shining. I know what happens. I know all the details, but I haven't. So I need to read this. I need to pick this up. I might wait until October to read this just to like fully creep myself out. But yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Okay, staying on the horror theme, I guess, is the next book, which is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is such a popular book on BookTube. I picked it up because of all of the wonderful things I've heard about it, and then I just never read it. So I really want to get to this one. The cover is beautiful. This is about a group of women who live in the South, and they have a book club. They normally read historical fiction, but then they're like, let's spice it up and read something more intense like horror novels while they are reading these very famous horror classics. A very mysterious man comes into town and children go missing, and I think he's a vampire. I mean, one can assume. I really hope I like it. I do have a few other Grady Hendrix books that I also haven't read because of course, why would I? And I want to start out with this one because I think this is his most popular title. If I like this, I will definitely go and read the other ones as well. Okay, the next book that I want to read this year is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I have almost picked this up and read this so many times. I love the cover so much, so I think I'm really drawn to it, but I just haven't. I don't know why, so I really want to read this year. This is another book that I've owned for a very long time that I need to just get through. And if I love it, I will keep it. If I don't, I will unhaul it, but at least I will know. I know nothing about this book. I think that a girl named Evelyn dies multiple times over and over again. I don't know if she's the main character or if somebody else is like watching her die. I'm not really sure what the story is about, but I don't really want to know because all of the reviews I've seen on Goodreads say that this book is so weird and strange, and whenever a book is really weird and presented that way, I don't want to know a thing when I go in. I need to get to this one ASAP. Okay, and the next book that I want to pick up from my physical TBR this year is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I picked this up because a lot of people compare it to The Secret History, which is one of my favorite books of all time. I also just think this cover is so gorgeous. I, once again, don't know too much about this one. I believe there is murder. I believe that there is a group of students in a Shakespearean college course. I don't know if it's like acting or writing or English, but I'm really intrigued by this one. I think this is gonna be kind of creepy and unsettling and dark academia, which is something I always enjoy. Okay, the next book that I absolutely need to get to this year is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I think the reason I haven't picked this one up is just because I am intimidated by it. I really want to get into the Brandon Sanderson literary universe, and I think this is where most people agree you should start. I really want to get into this one this year. I have a couple more Brandon Sanderson books behind me that are just like waiting. Going to prioritize this one for sure. Okay, the next book that I want to get to from my physical TBR is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I cannot believe that I haven't read this book. So many people on BookTube love it, so that is why I picked it up, and I'm sure I will really like it too. I know it is a Henry VIII retelling, and it is often compared to City of Bones, which is a book that I really enjoyed, so I'm sure that I will love this. I know that the sequel is coming out this year as well, so I need to get on it before I accidentally get spoiled by other people's reviews of the second book, so I'm gonna get to this one very soon. So the next book is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. Literally, I got this book in 2020, I think. So I've had this book for almost 2 years now, and the second book is already out, and I really wanted to pick it up, but I decided not to because I've seen so many mixed reviews about this book. I feel like people either really love it and think it's really fun, or people think it's absolute trash. So I am holding off on buying the second book, which is something I normally don't do. I normally just buy a series in total before I even read the first book, but I want to give this one a shot first. I think I'll like it. I think it's supposed to be like fantasy romance and it's YA, I'm pretty sure, so I think it'll be a very easy and fun book to get through. Okay, the next book on my list is Ace of Spades, which I feel like everyone has already read on BookTube. I feel like everyone was reading it last fall, maybe even last summer, and I picked it up because of everyone's great glowing reviews of it. I also think that the cover is so stunning, but then I just completely forgot about it, which is terrible, but I'm going to read this year. It is presented as Gossip Girl meets Get Out, which is like such a beautiful and incredible way to describe a book. I have to read this one this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know why I haven't picked it up. I just keep getting distracted by new releases, but I need to read this one this year, like literally unsubscribe if I don't read this year. Okay, another YA book, this time fantasy. I'm so mad at myself that I haven't read this. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920s Shanghai. All of that sounds beautiful. All of that sounds right up my alley. I don't know why I haven't picked this up. This book is beautiful. I've heard great things about it. The second book, the final book in the duology just came out. Why I haven't picked this up yet, I don't know. I'm ashamed, but I'm really looking forward to this. I do think I'm going to love it. I honestly have only heard really positive things about it, so this is definitely a priority for the first half of the year, and then maybe I'll pick up the second one and just read it right after. Okay, the next book on my list I feel like is a BookTube sin. Diviners by Libba Bray. I know, I can't believe that I haven't read this yet, and I want to read this so bad. I think this is another one where I've heard so many incredible things about it, as in a lot of people put this as one of their favorite books of all time. I see pretty much everyone give this 5 stars. So when a book has that reputation, I'm so afraid that it's going to disappoint me. So I've kind of steered clear of it, but I'm determined. I'm going to read this one this year. I think I'm going to love it. Once again, I don't know too much about it. I believe it's set in the 1920s in New York. I think there are demons, and I don't know if it's kind of like the Shadowhunters. So I'm really looking forward to it. I want to pick this one up so bad. I might wait until October though, because it is supposed to be a little bit creepy. But yeah, it's terrible that I haven't read this, I know. Another book that I have not read because I have been so worried that I would not love it is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I love Madeline Miller so much. I have read Circe and I absolutely loved it. And I feel like people pretty much say objectively that The Song of Achilles is better than Circe. So I don't know why I haven't picked this up. I truly just think that I want this to be one of my favorite books of all time. Like, that is what I am expecting out of this. And I feel like because I have put such high expectations on this, because I have put this book on such a pedestal, I'm really worried that it's just not going to live up to that. So I probably need to calm down on my expectations of this and then pick this book up. I have no doubt I'm gonna love it. I just need to do it. Okay, another book that it's actually a joke that I haven't read this already is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I have never read this book. Are you kidding me? I'm so mad at myself. I also have this really beautiful kind of gothic edition. I just need to read this. This book is like 150 pages. Why haven't I read this? This would be so easy to pick up. I love Alice in Wonderland. I really want to read, of course, the source material for the movies. I'm mad at myself that I haven't read this, but I'm going to get to this definitely this year. Okay, the next book that I definitely want to get to this year is Chain of Iron, part of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. This book kind of represents more than just reading Chain of Iron this year. I'm currently going through the Shadowhunter Chronicles and I'm only on Clockwork Angel. So yes, I do want to read this book this year and I'm prioritizing it, but I also need to read all of the other books before it. So I didn't want to include all of the Shadowhunter books in this video, but I need to read all of them. I really want to get caught up, as I know that Chain of Thorns is coming out, I believe, at the end of this year, and I'd really like to be completely caught up on the series by the time that book comes out. I'm really enjoying them so far, and yeah, I need to get to this one. I have to read about 10 other books before it, but I need to get to this one. Okay, and the last book on my list of 2020 books that I need to read in 2022 from my physical TBR is Percy Jackson. I can't believe I haven't read this. These books were so popular when I was a kid, growing up in the early 2000s. You really couldn't be a reader without running into these books, and I did, and I almost picked them up many times, but I just never read them. I don't know what I was doing when I was a kid, what I was reading, because I never read Percy Jackson as a kid, and I didn't read Harry Potter as a kid either. I read Harry Potter as an adult, and now I also need to read Percy Jackson as an adult. I don't know why I never picked it up. I really only liked books that had female main characters when I was younger. Feminist girl boss from the beginning, but no, I want to pick this up. And I also got these really beautiful Nerdy Ink dust jackets for the whole series. I hope that will motivate me to read these a little bit more because the original covers were kind of fugly, to be honest with you. Okay, so that is my 22 books that I want to read in 2022 from my backlisted physical TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If there are any books here that you think I should prioritize over others, let me know. Let me know what books you have on your physical TBR that you are really trying to get to this year. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.